Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty show. Today's guest, I'm very excited about. I have had more fun with this woman than most people in the world. Just great learning experiences. Smoked more weed with her than most. She's a fiend. So if you guys are also trying to do some of that fun stuff, go on over to nugofknowledge.com and you can check out all of the different things we have. We've got CBD, CBG, flower. We have these awesome Delta 8 carts. I always point in the wrong direction. So go to nugofknowledge.com, use promo code UNITE. Help me make a living doing this fun stuff and also help out some awesome liberty activists like Dan Berman and Tom Queter and your friends from FSM. So go on over to Nug of Knowledge. Today's guest, I'm very excited about. You guys have heard a lot about her because I talk about her too much, and especially anytime I have Jeremy Todd on, that's always a fun time. So, Livi, McKay, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks. I'm so glad to be here.
Long time no see. It has been way too long.
It has. I mean, it was, every waking minute for a second there, and then we
right.
we kind of went our ways. But since then you've been doing fantastic. Congratulations on all the momentum with the show and the sponsorships. Dimitri and I've been following, and we've been going. He's doing good, so we've been very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very pleasantly surprised by what's happened so far this year. I think to go from like just having fun in my mom's house recording episodes with my friends to being like, oh yeah, Scott Horton and Dave Smith and Mark Pellegrino from Supernatural. It's like, okay, that's a thing that's part of my life now.
I know it's when it starts to get really that momentum and it builds up really, really fast, and once it starts going, it just goes, and it happens much quicker than anyone anticipates. And I've been fortunate to have that kind of ride before, as I know we've talked about previously in other ventures of mine. So I'm glad to see that you're enjoying it and that it's working out well for you.
Well, thanks. So I always like to start off the show by asking what you're like for your libertarian testimony. What horrible person got you involved in this crazy mission of people?
Well, and I think also if anyone follows me on Twitter, I can be a bit salty about just any type of names at this point. So, I mean, as far as libertarians, I love them, and that's who I definitely identify with the most. And how I got involved in that was always growing up in the South with my dad. He was very small government conservative, always telling me I lean a little libertarian. So I had that a lot in my house. He gave me, Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand when I was, a teenager. So I was exposed to the ideas, but still grew up pretty conservative. And that was until in college. So I was like the choir girl in high school and the valedictorian and all other sorts of very, very white lace things. Hey, it got me to school. And so anyway, that's about it. So anyway, I was very, very against cannabis of any kind. Like I thought that was the devil's weed. I didn't drink. I didn't, that was just not my thing until I got to college and I got around people that did. And, I found people that smoked weed, and then I liked those people. And I was like, okay, maybe I can like people that smoke weed. I can do that. So like, that was like the first like steps. And then this like kind of natural progression of, okay, weed's not so bad, and being around that and just kind of going, okay, having this, this was the first kind of moments where I'm like, okay, maybe things aren't exactly like I always thought they were. But then what I would say is what really hit me over the head was when I was in the tornado that everyone knows about and that happened in Tuscaloosa in 2011. And a few weeks after, I started having seizures. And so that's when I started smoking very under the radar, not letting anyone know, for medicinal purposes. Yes, I had smoked previously, but I had never looked at it from a medicinal standpoint. And it was the only thing that worked to actually, quell these grand mal seizures that I was having with more severity and frequency. And sorry, that's being a little bit annoying. And so that was my first kind of big wake up of going, what in the world? Hopefully they'll stop that. Sorry, it's driving me nuts. I'm like ADD is all get out. So,
oh yeah.
Anyway, so when I had these seizures and this worked, and so I was like, okay, I've been lied to. So what else have I been lied to about? And so I was already like in that frame of mind, kind of looking, and I ran into a boy. It's always a boy. It's always. Ran into a boy in my choir class. Yes, I took choir in college. And then like we started dating, and he was an ANCAP, turns out. And he was like the most well-read ANCAP. He had read Human Action from front to back at 17 years old, and was invested in Bitcoin. And this is when Bitcoin was like $5, and like this is back in 2012, like way back. And he starts challenging, and I'm wearing a Mitt Romney t-shirt, by the way. And he's challenging me, and I'm like, what are you? And I'm used to like schooling people in debates. And so in this kid, I mean, just metaphorically body slams me. And like when it comes to political debate and like logic, and I knew how to logic, and he out logic the hell out of me. And so I was like, okay, what do you know that like, what are you reading that I don't have access to? Because I considered myself a pretty smart puppy, and I'd never encountered someone like this. And so he gives me all the books, and I read, I at that point immerse myself and I read everything from Mises to Rothbard to Hayek to Sol to, everyone I could get my hands on, and, became politically active and, while also having my financial career. So I never went full in activism, because I was always in the private sector, always in the, working my financial career since I was 22. So it was something I did more as like a passion, not as something as a professional pursuit.
Gotcha. So what made you want to possibly spend more time doing this stuff instead of making a bunch of money on Wall Street? Well,
so that's actually can't really say that I've going to be going away from, making a bunch of money, because here was my all honesty was that I did firmly believe that using money and using business in the markets is the best way to actually further any kind of progress. Even if that's a libertarian progress, it's just like pick your pick. Go find the thing that one thing that you're passionate about, and figure out a market approach to it. And so, and how we got there, you were kind of a part of that transformation, because yes, I was on Wall Street and also doing some of this activism work. That's when I went on the podcast with Tulsi and met you for the first time in New Hampshire and all of that. And so, and I was like, okay, there's more to be done here, because I was in the industry. I was a professional. I was working at the hedge fund that was primarily invested in cannabis. So I knew the industry from that angle, but I also knew it from the political angle, and I knew it from the medical angle. And living in a non-legal state gave me a really unique insight to the non-medical, I would say the political angles, and kind of all three from from a very different perspective than I would say a lot of people have, fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it. And so what I would say then happened is I'm working on Wall Street, and yes, it's our book is starting to do really well, because cannabis is it's the pandemic's hitting, cannabis is deemed essential, the stocks start soaring, and I'm in a non-legal state, and I'm looking in my home state of Alabama, and we're locking up veterans for their medical weed while it's being essential in the other half of the country. And I'm like, okay, I can't in any good conscience, like sit here and do, and make this, not just make money, but like, yeah, I can't make money knowing that this is happening, but also knowing that the industry was going in a direction that I may not necessarily agree with and may be able to do something about. So I quit my job at the height of the pandemic. That's what I did, and decided to start a nonprofit. And then very quickly figured out that nonprofits, at least in this space, are just, it's a saturated market, and it's a world that I don't understand. And it's something where I could not have my integrity. I could not maintain my own voice and what I needed to maintain with donors, because donors were saying, no, you have to say things this way, or you have to do things that way. And I said, I know better. Otherwise I wouldn't have quit come and run this thing.
What? Livi McKay couldn't take orders correctly?
No.
Shocker.
Well, it was just, and when it came to also my story, because this was another thing, was people were saying, oh, well, water it down, because we were in Georgia at the time, and they were like, you can't be talking about that cannabis. That's just not right. And I said, guys, that's what, it's medication. It's my medication. This is what we're using. It's what we're doing. So, yes, that's what led us. But, around in November, we were kind of trying to, when you and I were together, we were trying to pivot and figure out what the hell we were going to do and how we were going to, formulate this. And so for the past, since then, how many is that? 5-6 months. Dimitri, my husband, and I have been just racking our brains of how to solve basically all issues that we can along the supply chain. And we have our tagline, if you will. It's from it's from cultivator to consumer. We do the research so you don't have to. And so
that's great.
Thank you. And so, what we are about is actually providing. So it's like, there are two fundamental issues with cannabis, and it's from a political issue and from an industry issue. So from the political issue is, of course, the stigma, right? It's the stigma of it being a recreational drug when it needs to be viewed as a therapeutic supplement. And then the second issue that you have is that we have put the burden of education on the consumer. That has been the industry's problem. That has been every person's problem, is saying, oh, let me just educate you. Well, some people don't want to be educated, and that's fine. And so we have decided we're going to take that burden on ourselves, and we're going to take on the education side and make a product for you, and basically interpret this data for you and make a product that is able for you to be able to have your medication in a way that is digestible, user-friendly, whether everything about chemovars and all the chemical profiles and cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids, or if you just know that it's called weed and it makes you sleep. Whichever end of the spectrum you're on, this is going to appeal to you, and it's going to be backed by actual data and science, not this, hey, Bob smoked a joint in the back of his truck and it made him get the munchies and turned him on. Like, we're done with that. This is the most unscientific, ludicrous, backwards approach to one of the most miraculous therapeutic plants on the planet. And so it's time to grow up. It's time to look at it how it is. I understand, like, it's, this kind of this culture of this, dude, where's my car? But it's like, all right, we know so much more now because we've had the science, because we've been able to do the research. We know that these are not just stories. These are not just things that people are saying because they want to get high. This is being backed up by data. And where I get so excited and where I like want to jump out of my skin is thinking, if this is cannabis, what other plants are we missing? And what other combinations of plants are we missing of putting together and understanding how that works with our body? Because they've been around a lot longer than pharma. Mm-hmm. Plants have been evolving a hell of a lot longer than pharmaceuticals have been throwing shit together, slapping against the wall and going, let's see what works. Roll Tide, Jeremy.
Roll Tide. Yeah, that's truly awesome. I broke somebody's brain this weekend because he was talking about like sativa and indica, and I was like, "Do you want me to break your brain? Those aren't real. It's just bullshit. Like, just complete bullshit." And he was like, no. "Okay, you haven't broken my brain yet because I don't believe you. You just said a thing. I don't like." So I had to go into the whole thing. Luckily, we had a 4-hour car ride. But yeah, it is incredible how little we know. It
is, and not only that, but there's so much bad information out there because there's so many. Like, and I couldn't have understood this until I was in a city, or so here in Las Vegas, they actually require by the state. I know, let's all cringe, but
boo.
You know what? I'm actually okay with it because it gives me what I need. So we're rolling with it. And so what it gives me is that it is required by the state that they have to test a full cannabinoid and terpene, so a full profile testing. Now, not all of them, because there's 400 compounds, but you get at least up to the top 3 cannabinoids, sometimes 5 cannabinoids, sometimes they'll go all the way to 10 terpenes, but you at least always get your 3. And so you get a full chemovar, so that's like the chemotype, so that's the chemical profile per that actual product. And so if you know what those ratios mean and what those particular compounds mean, and their synergistic, not just what they mean independently, but their synergistic effects. And this is cutting edge research that we're still just now proving. We have a lot of anecdotal, and we've got a few peer-reviewed research papers, but we need so much more. But that's where we're really trying to come in and not use things like, just articles that you find, but actual peer-reviewed, scientifically validated articles that are showing the synergistic properties, showing the therapeutic effects, even just from a high level. We're not even trying to go, it cures cancer. That's not, we're like, what makes you sleep? Like what compounds work together to make you go to sleep? Let's start there. What makes your pain go away? And then we can break it down.
Yeah, that's really important. Before I started hanging out with you, I thought we knew like most of what we needed to know about weed. Like, I was one of those pot activists that was out there saying like, we already know the shit. Like, this is a stupid argument. Like, we've been studying this shit for centuries. Like, we know it's safe. We know, like, we've got the indica and the sativa and the hybrid, and we know all these terpenes. Like, most of the science is done. We should just legalize it and get it over with. Like, that's where I was coming from for quite some time. Then I meet you and Dimitri and Zach, and I'm talking about like all the shit we don't know, and I'm like, part of me wanted to like walk back what I had been saying. It's like, okay, maybe we don't need to legalize this yet. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
I mean, it's like, well, okay, let's not go there because that's why we
Right.
don't know what we're talking about. And I know you said it as a joke, and so but it's that it is exactly that we don't know because of these laws and because of what's happening. But that doesn't mean we don't know nothing. Israel, lots of studies. Lots of actually really good studies because they're allowed to study the plant and they have really good plants. And then the DEA also just released their monopoly on on research grade cannabis. So that's a game changer.
Nice.
That means that we are actually going to be able to study weed that is in dispensaries, that is on the market, meaning that we're going to actually be able to authenticate what is happening. But that's still it's still going to be so long for it to be drawn out. And so this is kind of another, what we're trying to do is kind of help build a framework for that to, at least a foundation for that to build on, so that when we have that research, we have a whole bunch of data that we can go, hey, look, we actually have real empirical data that you can go from. You're not having to work ass backwards, which is what we're doing right now. When you go from anecdotal, and this is very important, when you go from anecdotal to empirical, that is doing bad science. That's trying to make, that's trying to make the facts fit your narrative. But when you start with the empirical, and then that is validated and verified by the anecdotal, that is good science. That is going in the right direction. And just prohibition is the only reason that we've done this the other way. But with 35, I think 35 or 38 medical states and 15 to 18. I mean, I'm losing count because they keep turning on us. If you look at Mississippi, it just got overturned. Their ballot initiative just got overturned.
Yep.
So they're not going to get medical. But meanwhile, Alabama just passes medical. So it's mad. It is an absolutely mad industry to be in.
Yeah, I actually was just talking to some people about Mississippi today. One of my good friends is from the Mississippi LP, and they're putting together a protest, I think next weekend, at the State House because of that. Like, yeah, that I have almost all of my friends that do petitioning of any kind were in Mississippi doing that ballot initiative, like all over the spectrum. Like my lefty friends, my libertarian friends, my just straight up mercenary friends that would do any petition to get money, like all of them. I feel like I was the only person in my friend group that wasn't in Mississippi.
Yeah, it won by 75% of the vote. I mean, with it being extremely confusing on the ballot,
right?
Extremely confusing, and it still got 75% of the vote. Good job, Mississippi. You get a bad rep, but you did your bit, and you got screwed over. And so. And I can say that being from Alabama, it's always a challenge of who is 49th and 50th in the country. Race to the bottom, but good old towns. So
good old town.
Obviously, and with this pandemic and just the insanity of our healthcare system and what we're doing now, and I'm going, oh my God, now we need pot more than ever, like on a spiritual level, on a physical level, on a lot of levels. We need this. And I'm not trying, this whole thing has been so, but I did find, and I'm really, really diehard about this now, that I do feel like the way that we're going to get political change. So I should say this. So one thing that we're doing is we are doing something that is in direct violation of the Controlled Substance Act. And so what I mean by that is that, but so are 38 other states, because 38 states are in direct violation of the Controlled Substance Act. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that the Controlled Substance Act says that cannabis has zero medicinal benefit, right? 38 states have passed medical marijuana, meaning we have 38 states, or however many, I'm saying that because I know that was like the last tally count, that have approved medical. And so what we're willing to do is we're willing to say that we have enough research to at least predict, an expected effect, and from just a high level, because they're already doing it. If you've ever gone in and bought cannabis, you've got someone with blue hair telling you that this is going to make you sleepy, or it's going to make you be able to focus, or it's going to be able, they're already doing that. But they're doing this off of what could be bad information, maybe just a Google article that they read, where we are going to be pulling this only from scientific articles, from scientific backed data that has been peer reviewed and so forth. And so with that being said, if this were to come, right, and so if you're talking about like where did my activism go? My activism is still here. I'm just, if you will, and I might get a little bit in trouble here, and sorry, but is that I've found that people in politics that are not on the libertarian side are so much better at politics than I am ever going to be. And I think that there's a very deep reason for that. I think there's a very deep philosophical reason for that. And I think the reason for that is because whenever you are for something, you have, I believe, the entirety of creation working in your favor, for good or for bad. It sees no difference. It is, but you have this will behind you. If there's a will, there's a way. If your only means is to sabotage, if your only means, read this.
Oh. Okay. Gotta love technology, y'all. Maybe. All right, there we go.
Sorry. You know that I'm technologically challenged and it was buzzing. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had to rip the headphones out. So anyway, sorry. What I was trying to say before I interrupted myself is that when you're against something, when you're anti something, you are inherently trying to sabotage that thing. You're trying to stop something, which in my opinion, you are always going to be at a disadvantage, because that means that there's someone else that's trying to do something, that is trying to be for something. Even if that's for controlling something, they're still for, you're against. So this is where I have the challenge where I'm like, okay, I'm really bad at, I'm going to be worse at politics than these guys, because they're willing to use government. They look at government as an actual solution.
Yeah.
What am I going to be better at than them? And this is my challenge to so many libertarians is what do we say that we know better than everyone? The market. We say we know business. We say we know economics. So go apply it. Go make that change. And so this is where I think that where we can go is that I'm going, all right, I might not know politics as well as those guys, but I know business probably a lot better than those guys, meaning I've thought I can outthink them in that field. And so I'll go create a social movement, and then they will be forced to change their laws. They will be forced to change the policies because the business demands it, because the market demands it. And that to me is the heart of my brand of libertarianism, or the libertarianism that I've always, professed and proclaimed and have agreed with, is that, I want to see results. I want to see what's actually getting done. And so I'm going, okay, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to find science. I'm going to find facts. I'm going to find data. And that's where we're going to go and actually make an impact. And I'm not going to play, I'm not going to play at your games. I'm going to go create my own game and make change that way. Catch me if you can.
Yeah, I'm very thankful to have been able to tap into a little bit more of that side of this, the movement, than the and kind of do a little bit of both lately. I've been getting involved with like some PACs and nonprofits, as well as some other like corporations doing not quite as cool of stuff as what y'all are doing over there. But yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's like a 27-pronged approach if we actually want to break the state. Like there is within the party, we've been arguing for years about like who's the right messenger, what's the right message, what's the right approach. It's like you have to be part of a group of people that are like fighting the other group of people for the right approach to this like thing that 1% of the country believes in. And it's like we need every fucking approach. Like we need media, we need businesses, we need artists, we need more musicians talking about libertarian. We need everything. Like the Democrats have every fucking facet of life locked down. You can go your entire day without participating in anything that isn't propaganda from one of the two parties. And we have none of that for us. We have like 4 musicians. We've got like Phil LeBon and Eric July and like 2 other people.
Well, so again, and this is where I am trying maybe, and I realize like I get fiery, and I actually told Demetri, I was like, I've got to start doing these ice baths because I need to bring down my level of like insanity and reaction. Like I was like, I've got to just learn how to simmer down now, but I haven't gotten there yet. So, but what I will say, since that is my quest and the certain path that I'm on right now and trying to do that, what I'm maybe proposing as a challenge and something to think about, really think about deeply, is that why do these other parties, why does any political party have to have musicians and all this? Because they don't really have good ideas. Good ideas don't require someone pretty dressing up and telling you how, great everything is and go get your shot and go get your vaccine. And, if it's a good idea, you're going to go do it. Mm-hmm. You don't need that. So my very kind of like challenge is going, instead of trying to match them, just what solutions can we actually create? What solutions can we really provide? Because if we keep trying to, if the Libertarian Party, and that's why I've been a bit saucy lately about the Libertarian Party, because my friend Judd Weiss, I think, said it best a few years ago, and I didn't agree with him when he said it at the time, but now I couldn't agree with him more. And you know what I'm about to say, was that if the Libertarian Party was useless, it would be an improvement. And I still 100% agree with this. And what I mean by this is because it walks around with a split personality disorder. Are you a political party or are you a messaging platform? If you are a political party, you are dead in the water because of kind of the philosophical things that I talked about before, because the entire reason for the Libertarian Party would be to be anti-government, would be to restrain government, would not be to use government in any shape, way, or form that is good. So you're going to constantly be the little man, the bottom of the totem pole. And so how effective are you actually going to be? So the other side of it is, are you then a messaging platform? Well, if then you're a messaging platform, now you've got something interesting. Now you've got something that I think you can shape messages. But then I think this is the kind of the weird, crazy idea that Dimitri and I and a couple other people have been floating around as we go, what if we stop trying to be a political party, turn to being a messaging party, but then also trying to be something that incubated good market ideas, like market solutions, be an incubator of ideas. And like, I was like, what if you could, and I'm totally spitballing and I have no idea what the legality is on this. So, but I'm like, what if you were able to turn all of the Libertarian Party members into shareholders, and you were able to have an investment committee, like an investment board or something of that effect. And then you were able to have like, you could have like these, it could be an incorporation of nonprofits and businesses, but providing public solutions. So private solutions to public problems. And the Libertarian Party could actually be that facilitator, and they would be much better equipped of being able to look at, to evaluate assets, to evaluate longevity, to evaluate allocations. This to me seems like a much more, a brighter future of a Libertarian Party than trying to play at politics, because I'm just having tried to do it for 10 years, better part of 10 years. And I understand people did it way longer than me, but I just, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you're not getting anywhere, it ain't too smart.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've been back and forth. You watch me go back and forth on like an anarchist or like a libertarian. For the record, thanks to you and some other people, I finally like made the full switch because anarchy is the way. You can't trip
at this point. So in college, non-sorority people, because I went to all like Greek colleges, you're called a GDI. You know what that is? That's a goddamn independent. I was like, I'm bringing college back. I'm a GDI. That's where we are. I'm kind of done with ists and isms. And because to me, it just breeds this ideology, this tribalism that doesn't let you see beyond what you want to see. And so you're not creating any solutions. You're just yelling. Yeah. Angry man yells at cloud.
Yeah, I had a show. So I've got 2 shows now. So on Monday night, I go live with 2 of my best friends, Rita and Stacia Wilson. And we had on a friend of ours, Magnus Panvidia, who's like a boot boy anarchist. And so it was basically like me, Reed, and Magnus all like ganging up on Stacia, trying to turn her into an anarchist. Was basically the entire show. It was quite fun. But so much of the show was breaking down like the various groups of anarchy, and it was just so annoying. It was like, for me, and it was like my show, like, and I was still just watching it and just being like, this is the most annoying conversation I've ever been a part of. It's like, who cares what the difference between an anarcho-syndicalist and an anarcho-communist is? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, let's just be anarchists. Can we just burn down the state and then figure it out?
No. Can we create solutions now? Can we not burn anything down and just create solutions now? Because I think we can. I genuinely think we can. And I think that now more than ever, it's possible. And I just think that if we all got something that we were excited about, I don't care if it's, creating dog hotels, literally. Actually saw someone that was super happy doing that. Okay. I don't care if you want to make the next dog hotel empire and somehow you're going to make dogs' lives better. And then somehow you can figure out a public solution. If that's what you want to do. But if let's bring it into a libertarian. If let's say if you actually want to end wars. Okay. That's a big one. How are you going to do that? How are you going to end wars? Well, actually, let's think. What is a big thing that creates a lot of wars is lack of trade, lack of resources. This is a lot of times when people go to war is over resources. So it's like, okay, what if I am able to get more resources to more people? Then I'm actually going to give less incentive for people to go to war. Okay, what is a resource that I would want to get to more people? How can I get that? Do you see, like I just think that if we had a really, really hard conversation about, what can we do here and provide real solutions, then those solutions are not only going to be implemented, but then you're going to able to actually have not just a voice where you're angry man that yells at cloud, but you are someone with real credibility because you've provided so you're not talking theoretical anymore. You've got a track record. You're able to go, look at what I just did. And it's better than what your government's providing.
Yeah. And we also, one of the biggest things that we're missing, party, and I know that there's some people in the comments here that don't have this problem, but we're missing fucking money. Like, way too many of us are like me, who decided I'm just going to go. It's almost 2 years now. I got like another month and a half left until I'm 2 years unemployed. Just like living off of whatever I can find and whoever wants to help me out and whoever's couch I can crash on and whoever's food I can eat. There's way too many of me in the Libertarian Party and not nearly enough like Todd Hagopians who are just like out here making a fuck ton of money and making the Libertarian Party better.
Well, it doesn't start at one. Like that's. I mean, you're young, so you got time. And I would also say that you're doing something now. I can see that you're putting a lot of your time into doing this podcast, which can breed so many opportunities and can breed an actual an income. So it can be turned into a business of sorts. And I think this kind of leads my whole point is that I actually do believe, like, think about this. What if, like you said, that's even more of a reason to make the Libertarian Party to stop being like, you're not doing anything with the donations that you're getting. You are getting millions of dollars that aren't doing anything. You're getting like 3% of the vote. So why not actually put like I said, I don't know what the legality of this is, but it's like, what if that money that you would instead of running, political campaigns, you have like this investment committee and have like public solutions, and you're evaluating those, and you have different people pitching up. So that's why, like, and you're pulling from within, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like think about it, like you're an organization that would be promoting from within. You'd have ideally, like you said, like a bunch of the libertarians, like you said, you got to pick an issue. You can't fix everything, and you're not going to fix all of it. So pick an issue that you feel very strongly about, that you have an interest in, that you have some aptitude in, hopefully some experience in. That would be a really, really great thing. And then go out there and think, okay, what would be the solution? If it weren't the state, then what? And then how do I make that happen? And I think that if we actually had that, then you might be able to create jobs within the party, as well as creating solution, as well as breaking. Do you see what I'm saying? I think this is kind of solving a lot of the problems.
Yeah. I'll have to have you and Kevin Hobby on together sometime to talk about this more, because he's good at this stuff. I'm not sure. I can't 100% agree with like turning the Libertarian Party into this, because I actually have seen it get to a place where I'm actually proud to call myself a libertarian, and we have almost 300 elected libertarians in the country, and most of them are from the last like 2 or 3 years. We have 5 state legislatures across the country, most of whom changed their registration to libertarian in the last few months because they saw that our party was better than theirs. So I think that the LP is moving in a direction where it's actually being useful. But I 100% agree with what you're talking about, and that needs to be a thing. I just don't know if it's the party that does. I mean, there's like the Libertarian Institute, which is a cool group of people that I think might be a little bit better suited for something like that, especially considering the legality question. Because yeah, I'm not 100% sure how that would work.
Well, then see, so I guess that's everything. I think libertarians, if you're going to be intellectually honest, should not have a national party. If you're going to be intellectually honest, a national party doesn't make any sense. What makes sense would be to have local parties and state parties that cater to your to what I'm like, kind of what you're talking about, to your local elections, because that's actually where you can have an impact. But at the federal level, at the national level, there's it's just a money drain, and it doesn't really do. It's not very effective on that level. And so that's why I'm saying, can we have a transformation at that level of something completely different that could also in turn transform, and like I said, you still have your parties, but they're at a local level that's more intellectually honest and more in line with the ideals of the party, which is not to have some overarching thing. And then you can actually cut down the infighting. You don't have infighting. It's like, what's your local party doing? And then at the national level, it's like, okay, they're just solving problems. That's all they do is solve problems with market solutions. That's it. And to me, that I don't know. Like I said, let's get a legal person on and figure that out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that the idea of a federal libertarian, just those two words together, are pretty fucking weird together. Like the idea that just like the infighting that's going on right now, that people want to fight over the chairmanship for the LP National, and it's like what wants to take over a thing so that they can control the messaging for 350 million people. Like if that's your goal, you're in the wrong party, because yikes.
It's dumb. It's dumb. So yeah, like I said, and look, I'm be honest, like I'm way too like consumed with what I'm doing, and I'm very happy with what I'm doing, and I'm not in any shape, way, or form ashamed of that, because like I said, I think I'm living out libertarian ideals just in a very activism in just a very different way, but it is sparking a lot of other. I don't really watch what's going on. I have no idea what's going on with the LP chair. I have no idea who even is. I have no idea what's going on with the party politics. And I am like, namaste. I am so happy that I have no idea what's going on. It is a beautiful thing. But I still, I love you guys. And like, I have my opinions.
Yeah, I'm very envious of that clarity, because holy shit, it's a clusterfuck right now. So our friends that are in the comments are getting a little bit ahead of me in my questioning, but I do want to pivot, because you have some fucking awesome stories from one of the greatest libertarians to ever exist, and you were the first person I met and asked the question of like, how'd you become a libertarian? And your answer was John McAfee. But since meeting you, I've met like dozens of other people with the same story, and I find that very interesting, because I'd been a member of the party for 4 years, and I hadn't heard that from anyone. So, Jeremy Todd, who's in the comments, came in through that. My boss right now, Paul Grindle, came in through McAfee's campaign. A whole bunch of people. So I want to get into that, because you have some fun stories.
Oh, yes. Well, I definitely, John didn't make me a libertarian, but it was the first and really only time that I became very active, I would say, in the party. And that was more out of just, I don't even know how, to be frank. I knew, okay, so we'll just back up. And basically, John's running mate, Judd Weiss, a friend of mine, and Judd invited me out to a fundraiser where he was announcing that he was running for John's campaign. And at the time, I had been unemployed because I had had to resign from Morgan Stanley because I was having all of these health issues. And I told Judd, I was like, I just need to kind of get out and go do something. And so I started volunteering on the campaign, helping with some fundraisers. I didn't really know that much about John, to be totally honest. I obviously turned off my computer mid-podcast with you, so I'm not exactly the most technologically savvy person. So I'm like, John created something that pops up on my computer that annoys me from time to time. Okay, that's who he is. But then I heard him speak, and I was like, okay, he's good. And then I got to know him a little bit, and I was just, and to be honest, this is something that I think people really need to know about our campaign. Our campaign was not to win the White House. We were not delusional. We were fully aware that we were never going to win the White House, and nor was any other libertarian. That was out of John's acceptance speech. He goes, I'm not going to win the White House, and you're delusional if you think anyone in here will. And our whole campaign was about actually getting a message out there. And the whole reason we were behind John was because, say what you will, love him or hate him, he is a charismatic man that is a hell of a speaker that knows how to command an audience. And he really knows how to speak about the issues in an incredibly intelligent way, and in a way that's thought-provoking, not in the same taxation's theft. And, people are not able, like in these same kind of drawn out platitudes that libertarians say all the time. He spoke about them so eloquently in a way that drew people in, that we were like, okay, we could actually create a conversation around John. Because the other thing that I can tell you, that man is a PR genius, a madman. To be sure, but he's a genius. And so that was our idea behind it. And, of course, the party saw differently. And I'm not even going to get into all of that side of it. But because I just don't, it was not a great experience. It was actually that's when I learned that libertarians were just as, I was like, you guys are playing politics, just as dirty as politics. Like, the one thing I will say is that one of the leading campaigns called the FBI on John on the state floor, on the convention floor. Yeah, he got hauled off by the FBI, to make it as a political stunt. And we were like, are you kidding me? You really? This is what you're doing? So you can go around and run around with a trophy because you're not winning. So this is when I became completely disillusioned with the libertarians as a political party. I was like, you're a joke. And because I was like, and that's my personal opinion. And so so after that, John texts me at 7 a.m. in the morning, and he's like, get your ass to Atlanta. And this is when I lived in Birmingham. So I drove over to Atlanta, and he makes me do a tequila shot contest with him. And he's like, you do this, you're hired. And I'm like, for what? And he's like, my new company. Talk to the CEO, talk to the boss. He'll figure it out. But you have to do the contest or you're not hired. And I was like, you are like 3 times my size. I'm like the size of a gnat. And, and he's like, we're pouring the drinks. And so John is the one pouring the shots. And so he starts pouring 1800s in the middle of the day. And I mean, and we do 4 doubles. I don't know, John's hand of 4 shots back to back to back. I somehow get the job being way too intoxicated for any human my size. And I wake up the next morning and I see John in the elevator, and he's looking at me. My hair's sticking up because we have to go to this meeting. And I was like, are you doing okay? And he's like, no, I threw up in the shower. I was like, good. We're about the same place. I'm like, I'm glad that happened to you. I'm glad that happened to you. You deserve that. But all in all to say, it's one of my John stories. I've got many. I went and worked for him for 2 years. I'm very sad to see that he's in jail in Spain. without bail, without an arraignment. He hasn't, I mean, they're just letting him rot. He's 74 years old. I mean, it's really a travesty that he's over there. I mean, you know, he made no secrets about what he was doing, but it was, you know, of course we didn't know that at the time I was working for him. I had no idea what he was doing, but like, as far as the, I'm not going to file any of my tax returns. And we all did. And we actually did split professionally when he started doing his ICO stuff, because that was something that we professionally disagreed on. Yeah, or I would say the company I was working for, but yeah, that was good old John.
Yeah, I had the worst argument or like situation yesterday because, you know, it was tax day or whatever the fuck, and my mom actually tried to file my taxes for me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She sends me a text. She's like, "I need your ID information." And I was about to respond, and then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go downstairs and ask her what the fuck she wants this for, because this is sketchy. So I got downstairs. I was like, why do you need my ID information? And she's like, to file your taxes. I'm like, do you know me? Taxation is theft. Fuck off. I made $5,500 last year. I don't need to file taxes.
I don't know. Look, I'm at this... Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know what the law is. Please.
Well, it's 10,000 is the line that you actually are supposed to file. So yeah, I was well under that line.
But then you're still just like, mother, gonna do this for me. This is not okay.
Right. I'm like, do you even know me? Do you know any of my brand or what I'm about? Like, I literally had like an hour and a half long argument. It wasn't even a conversation. It was a straight up argument with my dad the other day about like how everyone should just stop paying their income taxes. His straight up answer was like, but then who would plow the roads? I swear to God, that was his fucking like first response. I was like, Dad, come on, really, roads? That was your first thing, roads? Really? Have you ever heard of libertarians? Do you know how much of a joke that answer is?
I know. But you know, it's for the uninitiated. You have to take them by the hand. You have to be empathetic. And, you know, that's actually how I feel. Like, okay, again, this is my coming into my, where I'm trying to get is that I'm not trying to make my life harder. So it's like, I'm not going to not pay I'm going to pay my taxes. I'm going to do these things, not because I'm not principled and not against them. It's like, no, what is my battle? Pick and choose my battles, right? And what can I conceivably get accomplished? And what can I conceivably do that can further free people? And look, I don't have the first idea really about how to solve, you know, world hunger or homelessness or, you know, what do we do with traffic? Like, I don't know how you dissolve the state and what you do later. Like, I don't know how to do that. And I actually think that would be quite disastrous. It's very Karl Marx was very, very much saying, destroy it and then we'll build it, you know, we'll build back better, basically. And so, you know, this I think is something that we as really philosophical thinkers, as deep thinkers, as nuanced, critical thinkers need to go about this in I think a very different way. And again, approach this and go, what is something that I can do that can actually effectively create a solution? Just one. And if everyone just tried to create just one solution, think about where we would be. Instead of going, well, let's just stop all the bad ones and then we'll create good ones. No. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. You can start creating solutions now.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I'm a fan of burning it down and then not build back better. Just don't build back because fuck governments in general. But I'm in 100% agreement with you. I don't think that we can burn it down safely, just the way that it is right now, right? There's no way for us to just like go burn down the cap like that and then just like be free tomorrow. Like, it's just not reality, right? We're not actually going to be able to do that, and if we did, it would be much worse situation that we would come out of in the end, because we don't have any other control. Like, we need to have positions of power in the market and in culture and in society to actually be able to influence it in the correct way when we're building back. If that's the plan, if the burn it down and build back is your plan, you need to be somebody to build that back. Because if we burn it down, the people that are building back are not us, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be Jeff Bezos controlling most of everything, and that's worse, like just objectively worse. So I think how we burn it down is things like Bitcoin and other similar ideas and solutions that just take power out of the hands of the federal and state governments until eventually they just don't have any anymore. I think that's how we burn it down. We don't actually have to use fire. We just have to outsmart them, outwit them, and take all their money from them slowly.
Yes, and I do, and I agree. And I wouldn't use that vernacular. Like, I'm extraordinarily particular about my words. So, but I do think that it's
No.
And so I do think that it's incredibly, though, important that we approach this from an angle of creation rather than destruction, that we are always trying to create and not destroy. And so, because when you have the mind of always creating, then those things that are not good, those things that are undesirable, like you said, they will just go by the wayside. And you don't have to be a somebody to make that happen. I'm not a somebody. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I mean, I've just got some things done, but I'm not anyone special. I can tell you that. I'm just somebody that is a little bit crazy enough to think, to bet on herself and to go, well, I can try. And I'll try and I'll fail and I'll try again and I'll fail and I'll try until I succeed. And that is the only thing that I think that I do that might be a little bit, doesn't make me special. That's something anyone can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, so I agree, but I'm going to push back on two of those things because A, you are somebody, and B, you are special. And I think that, and that I think was kind of my point, was that maybe you weren't anybody like 10 years ago, and maybe right now you're still not, but soon, like very soon, you will be. And that was, I think, kind of my point, was like, we need more people like yourself who are becoming a somebody, actually, like in some industry, in some way, that when the time comes and we're trying to do non-state related solutions, we have people in positions of power of some sort that, can actually influence their whatever niche market they decided to go into. Like you're saying, like that one solution that you found, you can actually help take that industry in the correct direction once the state's out of the way. So I agree that like anybody can do it 100%, and that you don't need to be somebody right now, but go become somebody. Like that's, like, and to your point. Yeah. And to your point about the LP, like being a county chairman is not somebody. Sorry. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I don't mean rise up in the ranks of the Liberty Movement. I don't mean rise up in the ranks of the LP. I mean, go do something.
Yes, absolutely. I think I would be remiss if we didn't bring up as we always joke around, the various people that live in my head, my Margaret Thatcher. It's always, don't just be someone, do something. And so that's always in my head as well. So I love to hear you say that. Margaret must have actually rubbed off on you.
A decent amount. I'm so glad that she made an appearance on my show too. Now I can say that I've interviewed Margaret Thatcher. So
Yes. Lives in my head, and I can't help it. I don't know why that happened.
I was trying to explain to my dad the other day because I said something about I literally just in passing the other day, he said so. He asked me a question. I was like, "Oh, my Congress will get back to you on that." And he was like, "What?"
The Congress
had to explain that one. I was like, "Oh, it's one of those weird Livy Dimitri things, you know." It's so much fun trying to explain to people like what I learned from you guys and how much you two affected like my entire life trajectory. Literally, like just those few months of just like hours and hours and hours of some of the deepest political and philosophical conversations I've ever had. A bunch of them, including various drugs that help with that, and like I'm barely recognizable from the person that you met in New Hampshire at this point, and so I'm very very thankful for those couple of months and those long ass conversations and lots of arguments and nasty words, but fun times.
I'm trying. I'm doing. I'm, and I learned a lot through it as well. And you know, some things I'm just not discussing some things. It's just not happening. But what I will say is that no, we did. I learned equal amounts, and I was also, you know, very, very grateful for that time in the sense of how it has just added to the story, you know, and how, you know, we did pivot massively. And, you know, yes, we did go all of our separate ways, but I do think that was a major center point where, you know, it's like we came together and then things changed and we went in the trajectory that we needed to go. And it's what I'm having a hard time with, though, is a lot of people have been telling me what you've told me lately. This is you're not like I had a couple other people, and so I'm going, for better or for worse. I'm very grateful that people are and very humbled, really humbled by people telling me this and that I'm having such an impact, because it's certainly not on purpose. It is just me being me, being a bit of a psycho, like I say, where I'm just passionate and I like to try and suss things out and figure out what is the truth of things. And if and I don't mince words, and you know that, and I will fight you on those words to figure out what that truth is. And then I'll give you a big old hug afterwards and go, good, let's go get a milkshake.
Yeah, I think like the crux of your personality that makes you different than almost anyone else in the world is your just like blatant level of honesty that's unmatched by most people I know. And honestly, like Zach being around he's also pretty good on that. So like having you and Dimitri and Zach, who are all just like these completely open book types, where I'm like, I pride myself on my ability to not be honest. Like for my entire like adult life up until that point, like it's something that I was working on actively, was to like be able to be a different person in the different groups that I was in, and be able to like tailor myself to be like the most like the person that you would like the most, so that we can get along the best, and that you like me more than you like most people, because I became your perfect friend when I'm around you, and when I'm around other people, like I'm their perfect friend. I realized that, I mean, it was a noble cause, I guess, but you know, because it wasn't out of like malicious like intent of trying trying to be fake or something like that. Like it was bred out of a good thought process of like, I'm just trying to be the best person that I can be in any of these situations. But that's not the best me that I can be. Because the best me that I can be is just an open, honest myself. And then that way I get to find out who I want to actually be. Because the different versions of me, like, loved all of the people that I was hanging out with because I was trying to, and some of them fucking suck. Like once you become honest and yourself, your friends go away, but they're the bad friends that go away, the friends that didn't deserve you to begin with. For the record, we've got Hank Reardon up in the comments just destroying your comment about Mobile, Alabama. Be someone like Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, who's from Mobile, Alabama. Or be someone like Lonnie Johnson, the inventor of Super Soaker, who's from Mobile, Alabama.
Tim Cook really from Alabama? Mobile?
I'm trusting Hank Reardon over here.
I'm going to have to verify that. I had no idea that Tim Cook was from Mobile. That's really cool if that is. And hey, no. As far as I thought, Mobile's shining star was Jimmy Buffett. And I was okay with that. I was okay that was our pride. But if it's Tim Cook, I mean, that's cool too. You know, sweatshops I'm not really crazy about. We were talking about the Apple guy, right?
Yeah, I think Jimmy Buffett's cooler than Tim Cook.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Okay. You know me, I know pot and I know science about that, and everything else I'm like, who's that actor? What's that person? And macro.
I don't know. I think the Lonnie Johnson inventor of Super Soaker, that might be the coolest one though. Like that's pretty fucking cool. Like water guns.
Oh, the water gun.
Where would we be without Super Soakers in life? Like
that is actually really cool. And you know what? That makes sense because it is hot as hell in Mobile. Like I live in Las Vegas. I handle this heat better than I did Mobile because you walk out in Mobile and it's like you're being waterboarded. Like you have like a hot, wet towel across your face and it never goes away and you're just suffocating for like and this starts in like March and doesn't end until like November. And so it would make sense that the Super Soaker would come from Mobile. So thank you, Hank, for letting me know.
That does make sense. I will never live in the South. I spent enough time this past year in like South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia, and then I'm never going back to the north or to the southeast U.S. like for any kind of permanent thing. And I'm probably only gonna visit in the winter because fuck that heat. Like I just can't. I'm just not gonna do that anymore.
I found reprieve. The mountain. The mountain where you helped us move. And because we were there during the heat. And on the tippy top of that mountain, it never got hotter than I'd say like maybe 83. And because it was up, you know, that it never got humid. It was just that's that hidden little gem that was also 30 minutes away from the closest grocery store. I mean, so that's kind of the price you pay. It's like if you want to live on a mountain in the South, you're really not going to be around anything because the mountains are so few and far between down that, you know, that far south. But I'll admit I miss the South a little bit. I miss green, but Vegas is remarkably a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'll say that.
Yeah, I still need to make it out there.
Sure.
I've never been to Las Vegas, and that needs to change. I have multiple friends out there now, and so yeah, we're gonna come. I'll swing by here pretty soon. Maybe after I visit Jeremy in Arizona. It's gonna be a really fun year.
I think it sounds like it is going to be. It's setting up for definitely a fun year, and yeah, so come on out. We'd love to have you. Dimitri's actually, he told me to tell you hello. He's sitting out on the porch actually watching this. So
oh, nice.
He was
Hi,
like,
Dimitri. Love you and miss you.
We've been keeping up with you. So, you know, we've just been really, we'll have some, I hope, hope some really exciting announcements, coming up that I can't talk about just yet, but I really do hope that we've got some things that I can speak on soon. And I think you're right that this is going to be a good year. I think things are turning. I think 2020 was a year that a lot of people got their shit together.
He's on your account.
Oh, he's on mine. My husband, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll definitely have to have you back on with him for some of those fun announcements, and maybe that'll be an in-person episode.
Yeah, I think that it probably would align just the right timing on that. So that might work out just perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to tell everybody how they can come alongside you and help you with some of the missions that you're doing, how they can find you and reach out and help out.
Really, right now, guys, it's if you want to just follow me, I'm not talking so much about it. It will be really soon. So the minute that I actually do start coming out a lot more about NAN and our mission of turning the tide from cannabis from being an illegal drug, we're wanting to change that reputation of being an illegal street drug to a therapeutic supplement. And that is going to take a whole groundswell. That is going to take the whole, group of, I think it's perfect for the libertarians, perfect for your audience to get behind. It's something that everyone, seems to be on board with, that this should definitely be legal. And this is, I think, the way that's going to make it legal. So, I just ask that you guys stick around. Please be patient with me while we're figuring this out. But it is something really exciting, and I'm so grateful for the people have been reaching out and have been letting me know how they've been encouraging and been not giving up. And so all of that's the best. That's all we need right now is just encouragement, good words, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody go follow Livi right now, and also follow Dimitri and follow Nan and follow everything on all the platforms, because even if all you're getting is awesome wedding pics, because happy anniversary. I was gonna say that in the beginning and forgot. I love that picture of you guys on the porch in the mountains. That's such a great picture.
Sam took that picture. Yeah, it was. She's quite a little photographer. Yeah, thank you. It was really quite special. We met. So Dimitri and I met in Las Vegas 5 years ago. So for us to spend our 1 year, wedding anniversary here in Las Vegas where we met was it's been pretty special. And so we feel that this is really gearing up. So thank you for that.
Of course. Well, many, many more happy years to you guys. I'm excited to see what you do and what you guys are doing together, and how we can work together more in the future, because, man, I miss you.
Likewise. Likewise.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you don't already, click the subscribe button and the follows on all of the other things. My ads have been scrolling across the bottom. We appreciate you guys, and I'm just gonna say this again: go follow Livi, because she posts awesome shit.
Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you back here next time. Until then, keep up the fight.